Good evening. For tonight's Friday night reading, I'm going to do a few family pieces. I write a lot of poetry, a lot of poems about people that are important to me, mostly positive, for positive reasons, but also some negative ones too. And these are all three very positive. These are three people that are no longer around, who I loved very much. And one of the reasons I wrote these poems about them was to memorialize them, to help me remember to. Um, and these are three people from my Puerto Rican family. Um, Two were kind of similar in certain ways. One was very different. They were all connected though. So the first one is for my Abuelo, my grandfather Juan Teodoro Morales. And so this poem is just called Abuelo. There's a tree growing from Abuelo's guitar, a flamboyant with vines curling around the neck, and its blood-red flowers fall into his song that sounds like a river and smiles like the moon. Abuelo is bronze, red-brown, white hair, eyes full of comets. He is slicing a pineapple with a big knife, and he is singing as he sings half of the day, every day. Everything in that kitchen is smiling at me. If he's not singing, Abuelo is humming while he reads, while he works, any damn time. He drives curvy mountain roads singing with one hand on the wheel, the other leaning on the window, as on that mambo afternoon drives up to the entrance of his little neighborhood, slows down, puts a finger to his lips, smiles, puts on his glasses as we slowly glide up the driveway with Abuela standing and very carefully watching. Abuelo speaks and the words turn into hummingbirds. The force of his rage flashes like lightning and is gone. No signs of the anger, no scorched ground, no split trees, no sign of working hard from age 9 to his final years. 60 years of work, and he attempts to retire twice, getting it right the second time while making all of us nervous since he hardly slowed down. The diabetes. The diabetes ordered him to stop drinking, and he did, most of the time, but occasionally charming a little whiskey out of adoring grandchildren and old friends who could hardly say no to the sweet old Taino, Jíbaro, man of the soil. Oiga, mi negro, it was that sweetness that infected your blood and made you too nice for this world. Oiga, mi abuelo, I hear your voice singing some days out of nowhere, and I pray there is another world so I can see you there. And that was from my abuelo, Juan de Morales, who passed away in 1985. And this next one is a poem I wrote for my mom. And a bunch of my friends and family know about this poem, but I like to read it at least a couple times a year. My mom, Margarita Morales Kearns, passed away in 2013. And this poem is about her in a certain way, okay? About a certain part of her being. This is called The Meaning of the Visit. Many stories. I tell many stories, as you well know. I was born for this. From the first time you saw me smile, and I was smiling at you, Ma. I tell my friends about our little ranch house in the GI Bill suburbs. 6 odd people, 3 little bedrooms, a paneled basement, paneled entertainment center for the neighborhood, and other people mysteriously staying and, quote, visiting, unquote, for weeks and months at a stretch. These visits intrigued me, occasionally bothersome when I couldn't always get to my toys when they were needed, but I always liked the idea of the visitors, and I sort of knew why they were there. And I tell my friends that all of a sudden we had a family of 9, quote, visiting for a while, unquote. Of course, I speak of our dear friends, the fugitive tribu, huddling together because of something I could not have understood at the time. But you and Dad did, and you smiled it away, so it didn't bother me. 15 people, plus 2 bathrooms, plus a family in crisis would equal intolerable chaos for almost anyone else. I knew it at the time, but you kept smiling, Ma. And it took many years till I understood the power of your kindness, the dimensions of your faith, and the strength of your loving voluntad. So, among the countless thousands whose lives have been made so much better by your gentle heart and great vision, I take my place. Grateful to you and smiling, because I love you, Ma, and I always will. And I read this to her at a testimonial dinner for her. And it was a very good timing, too, because she was pissed off at me. So this bought me some slack, you know. But the poem was heartfelt, you know. And this last poem is about my Tio Raul, Raul Morales Melendez. It was an amazing character. And as we approach Easter, you know, I was thinking about my mom and my Abuelo were very religious people. And my Tio Raul was not, to put it mildly. He was sort of anti-religion. I've called him my favorite Marxist dermatologist, among other things. Anyway, this poem is for you, Tio. He's been gone for a long time. And this one, like the Abuelo poem, has been published in a number of places. This is called Raulismo, Part 1. We are shelling gandules, pigeon peas, on a balcony in Rio Piedras, Puerto Rico. 16 years ago, in bright Boricua sunshine, we are myself at 25, and my sardonic revolutionary uncle, Tio Raul. And we're popping out the green and brown peas into a plastic bowl. I ask him about a beach. His reply, what do you know about dialectical materialism? No, Tio, I haven't heard about it recently in the bars I've been going to. People are not talking about dialectical materialism. Well, let me tell you. Now, at that hazy point, I was 25. Trying to re-enter the so-called normal world after an extended sabbatical from what is often called reality. In other words, back in college, cut my hair, put off my dreams of underground, and now I'm attempting a peaceful conversation with the man who told a room full of devout Puerto Rican Catholics that, quote, of course, the apostles were gay. Let me tell you, was always the prelude to something unique. Let me tell you, do you know when a baby comes out, mucus covers the mouth, and often, ancient times, they poured water to clean it away. Oh, I've heard that, Tio. He smiled, as he didn't care if I was bullshitting. I was going to learn something. Well, that action made sacred as it provided life, but its source, empirical. The baby can't breathe without the water. The water becomes sacred. This is dialectical materialism. Part 2. 8 of us around my parents' dinner table, years after the dialectical lessons, El Tio Raul, seated between his eldest daughter and son, watching him, out of the corner of their eyes for signs of incendiary commentary at the saying of grace. However, he casually avoided dropping radioactive insights during the meal. No lecture like the one at lunch in Viejo San Juan about the corrosive nature of capitalism and no mention of the FBI, who did follow him for years. My cousins then dropped their guards, drifted away from the table as some of us lingered over café y postre, and as the vigilant offsprings moved away, Tio drifted back to the table, didn't sit down. Standing there smiling, he said, "You know, in India, some people say grace over cow dung." I started howling. Mom looked away, and my father struggled unsuccessfully to suppress a smile. And you were teaching again, Tio. Your compromises always came with strings attached. And so that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'll be doing this for some more Fridays, and I'm putting them on a YouTube channel. So I'll be sharing that too. Okay. Have a good night.